The Mekong River just outside of Phnom Penh, Cambodia. It's 2016, the 50th year of the year I was born. Before I embarked upon this trip, I came because a lot of things that happened in these countries happened when I was growing up. The Vietnam War and the killing fields. I came to see a part of the past. I came to see a part of the past that our country was involved with, Vietnam, and also a part that our country was much less involved with, or perhaps not involved at all. The killing fields. I came to see how these two countries in particular could come back from the devastation they had been through. I came to learn about how they could regrow, how they could have a rebirth and regeneration. I came to understand about the past. I came to think about what mattered in my life, what matters in theirs, and how I can learn from them, even though I have never been through anything that they have. I recognize that in Vietnam, 3 million people were killed, many of them innocent, for political reasons and causes that I have yet to understand, despite the amount of time I've investigated on it and the time coming here. I do recognize that people do have the capacity for forgiveness. I've learned through Kim Phuc, the napalm girl, or the girl in the photo who was burned in 1972. She said she had hatred in her heart afterwards, that she looked at other people who were normal and had hatred because she wasn't, because she had been burned. She was in pain every day. She sought out religion, she read books, she read the Bible, and she learned about forgiveness. I recognize that of those 3 million people, many sacrificed for their own country. Whatever the cause they were fighting for, they wanted to have one country. They wanted unification. They wanted freedom, even though it was through communism when Saigon fell. Then I thought about the atrocities in Cambodia. How could you possibly get over it? I started to think that the question I was asking about forgiveness was wrong in the first place, that certain things could never have forgiveness. I'm not really sure I can truly comprehend how the genocide of 2 million people could be forgiven. I realized through one of the survivors who I got to meet and sit down next to, Bao Meng, and then read his book, that I was blessed in being able to meet and hold hands with one of 7 people out of more than 16,000 who were killed, and that fortunately he's written his story. And through that story I learned that he said he could not forgive Dutch, the leader of the prison at S21, and I fully comprehend and understand it, and I'm not sure that I could forgive it either. Maybe one day he will. What does Bao Meng ask for? He asks for people to understand and recognize what he's been through and what his country has been through, so that we understand it and never allow it to happen again. He has written about the torture he went through, about seeing his wife taken away. He has written about what he desires. He wants justice. He wants the people who committed these crimes to pay for them. Wouldn't you? If your wife had been killed, wouldn't you want justice? When he looked in Dutch's eyes and said, "Did you kill my wife?" he wants an answer. He'd just like somebody to say, "I did it. Tell me where my wife's bones are buried so that I can say a prayer over them, so that I can move forward from that." He has been without his wife for the better part of 40 years. The bit about forgiveness, I think it's sometimes naive to think that a country would forget about what the leaders did to 2 million of their own people. In asking the question about forgiveness, I think it's naive for me to even ask it. Is it really possible that the people here would have forgotten what happened 40 years ago when 2 million people were killed? Almost every person over the age of 40 has lost one or more members of their family. Many have been tortured, enslaved, starved, and worse. How could they forget that? I don't think that they can. And then I think about the kindness of the people, that when I speak to the Cambodians, they smile, they're kind. When you ask them how they're doing, they say excellent. And I believe that they are, but I also believe that they haven't forgotten the past. It's through their kindness that I learn a lot. It is through the remote and rural areas that even when I'm in one of the smallest villages, I can still see happiness. And I think back to where I live, all the technology and the crowds, the advancement, iPhones, iPads, the internet, all the things that take up our time. I think back to the village that I saw yesterday in Cambodia, where I saw children playing outside without iPhones and iPads, without the consumption, consumerism, and materialism. I thought back to the time that I was growing up, perhaps to 1975, when I would play baseball on the streets, and I thought of the same happiness, and I could see it in the faces of the children playing soccer yesterday, 10 years old, playing outside. I see a lot of happiness in these villages. I see an industriousness. I'm not sure that it matters which end of the financial spectrum one's on, whether you're rich or poor, because rich in money doesn't mean rich in happiness. Many of the people who I've seen here who are quite poor are quite happy. They do their work, they spend time with their family, they have smiles on their faces. But I'm glad that I've been able to come here so that I could see the past, so I could learn more about what these people have been through, so that I could appreciate even more, given what they've been through, how they have and demonstrate happiness and a good work ethic. How, though they don't forget the past, they are able to move on. How I see new construction and industries, yet I also worry about what will happen as that occurs. The air quality, the water quality, food supply, energy supply, crowds, and will these people, as they move forward, be taken over by the same things that I'm used to back home? Taken over by television, internet, email, Facebook, things that suck up your time and don't add to your quality of life. So it is here, in a remote place, in the Mekong Delta, that I sometimes see a quality that is far greater than the one that I'm used to back home. It was 50 years of thought, 50 years of my life, 50 years of asking questions about these places, and now I've gotten to see them. I have seen people move forward, but I also realize that the atrocities of the past, as Bao Meng requests, should never be forgotten. They should be investigated, and people who commit these crimes should come to justice. I realize that we may not see that justice in our lifetimes, and I believe that ultimately justice will be had. I believe what the Bible says, that we will be accountable. I think every religion holds people to the same. I thank the people of Vietnam and Cambodia. I thank them for their kindness, generosity, their warmth. I know I've been blessed in coming here. I recognize so many things that are the same: the smile on a child's face, the bark of a dog, the wanting to connect with other people. That transcends culture and language. I realize that a smile could be put on someone's face just through Oliver, our puppy. That when I give that photo out to young and old in any country, I see the same thing, and it makes me think again about happiness and what it takes to have it. I have been blessed to come here.